Affairs, President's party has filed a no-confidence motion against the Speaker of the country's parliament. Complete chaos prevails in the political affairs of the island nation. Let's have a complete picture in the next report. Ahmed Moin Faruqi reports from Colombo and Saeed Absarul Hassan gives us this report from New Delhi.
Maldives President Mohamed Muizzu is facing a tough challenge as the main opposition party of the archipelago, the Maldivian Democratic Party or the MDP, has moved an impeachment motion against Muizzu over his foreign policy, particularly his anti-India stance. The Maldivian Democratic Party, along with the Democrats, has gathered the signatures of 55 members, just one short of impeaching the president. According to the Maldives constitution, a president can be impeached with 56 votes. Ibrahim Soli-led MDP and the Democrats under Mohammad Nasheed have expressed concern about the direction of the current administration's foreign policy, stating that it appears to be taking a sharp turn towards an anti-India stance. The development comes a day after high-voltage drama unfolded in the Maldives parliament over the approval of pro-China members in Muizzu's cabinet. Clashes broke out in the Maldives parliament on Sunday between pro-government MPs and opposition lawmakers over differences in the approval of 4 members of Muizzu's pro-China cabinet. Soon after taking oath as the president of the Maldives on November 17 last year, Muizzu, who is regarded as a pro-China leader, formally requested India to withdraw its military personnel from his country. He stated that the Maldivian people have given him a strong mandate to make this request to New Delhi. However, the reality is quite different on the ground, with Maldivian MPs backing very good and firm relations with India. As of now, the fate of President Muizzu hangs in the balance, as the Speaker of the Parliament has not yet decided to take up the matter. Adding a twist to the tale, the ruling President's party has filed a vote of no confidence against the Speaker. All in all, chaos prevails in the archipelago after incumbent President Muizzu took the reign of the country in November last year. With inputs from Moin Faruqi, Bureau Report, DD, India.
All right, to spell out more details, our correspondent Ahmed Moin Faruqi joins us for more from Colombo. Ahmed, the Maldivian opposition party has gathered enough signatures to initiate an impeachment against the president. Let us get more details as to how do events unfold from here on.
Yes, you see, there have been tremendous developments in the archipelago nation of Maldives over the last few weeks. We had seen that the India Out campaign, on the back of which President Muizzu had run the election campaign and come victorious to be elected as president. Thereafter, he had decided that India would not be his first port of call after assuming his position as the president. There had also been a few developments like the deputy ministers of his cabinet, of his government, had commented against India, the Indian people and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. However, yesterday, the day before yesterday, what we had seen in the Majlis, the Parliament of Maldives, was something that was quite surprising. There had been a ruckus on the proceedings of the Majlis were stopped by the ruling coalition members because they had assumed that they were told that the 4 appointments into the cabinet of Muizzu government would be rejected by the Majlis, and that had led to a huge ruckus in the Majlis. Now, what stands is that the opposition parties, the MDP, Maldivian Democratic Party, and the Democrats, currently they have 55 members in the Majlis. Currently, the strength of Majlis stands at 81, and they have sufficient numbers for moving the impeachment motion. As of now, what we see is that the numbers are definitely neck to neck, and there is a possibility that it could actually, in real terms, go through. So we just have to wait and see how the entire events would unfold in Maldives as of now. Preeti.
All right, there is uncertainty, but according to the Maldivian law, Ahmed, help us explain, does the president have any options up his sleeves?
You see, Preeti, actually the Article 100 of the 2008 Constitution provides for removal of president or the vice president. And as such, there have to be clear grounds on which either of these officials would have to be impeached. the three grounds that provide for our one is going against the tenets of Islam. Second is basically with regard to performing, unable to perform activities as the president or vice president. And thirdly, doing something that is unbecoming on part of the position as president or vice president. Now here, the opposition parties would primarily be talking about the kind of stance that the government under President Mohammad Moizu has been taking with regard to the relations with the longest standing partner, that is India. And India being a close ally for Maldives from times immemorial, they had initially, I think about a week back, the two parties had come together with a joint statement in which they had criticized the Moizu government for the kind of stance they have been adopting with regard to India. And they had also talked about taking steps. And this is probably the step that they had decided about. And we just need to see how it goes about. On the other hand, President Moizu, he will have option to reply to any of the motions that would be presented in Majlis. He will have 14 days time to prepare and provide for the reply. And if after that, there is a possibility that motion would be put to vote. If he gets the numbers on his side, then he can definitely come out as the victorious one.
All right. As the fallout of the impeachment, Ahmed, who are the next contenders for the post there?
As of the Constitution provides for the vice president to be named as the president in his stead if the president is impeached, and that would be Hussain Latif. He is a member of the PNC, and he fought alongside Mohammad Moizu in the presidential elections in September 2023. So if the impeachment goes through, he would be the most likely candidate as per the Article 100 of the Maldives Constitution.
All right. Is it a little too early to ask if the political crisis in the country would have a bearing on its say, image on the global page, or for that matter, will it have any repercussions in the region, Ahmed?
See, primarily speaking, this is something that has happened in a very unprecedented manner. A diplomatic row that has erupted by the current Maldives government, the members of the government, and the kind of repercussions we had seen on social media. Social media nowadays has become very active, and as such has a tremendous impact on our daily lives. And the kind of global scale that it has definitely been brought into the global limelight. Yes, the developments would definitely have a major implication, primarily because a democratically elected president, if the Majlis, you see the system of checks and balances in Maldives is such that a democratically elected president can bring in any member as his in his cabinet, and that has to be ratified by the Majlis, that is the Maldivian parliament. And the parliament also is legally allowed to impeach a president if they have sufficient numbers and sufficient cause. And as of now, they are indicating that they have sufficient cause for moving such a motion, and they also are indicating that they have sufficient numbers in terms of the signatures or in terms of the strength in the parliament, in Majlis. However, it is still, a neck and neck. We do not know how things will pan out. But considering that it will be a very short stint for a president who has been elected democratically, and the kind of the fallout that has happened till now, and how people would perceive it inside Maldives itself, because you see, the parliament is also going into elections in March this year. So a lot of implications will be there locally as well as on global scale as well.
All right, Ahmed, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details and explaining the political scenario, the political crisis in Maldives to our viewers. Let's turn focus to other updates. India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra met with Bhutan's newly elected Prime Minister Longchen Tshering-Tobgay. During his visit to Bhutan on Monday, Kwatra reaffirmed the close bonds of friendship between the two nations and assured Longchen of India's firm commitment to partner with Bhutan, aligning with the priorities of the royal government and the people of Bhutan. Kwatra also met with Bhutan's Foreign Minister Longpo Dongyal and discussed important bilateral matters of mutual interest and also ways to further strengthen India and Bhutan's relations across all the sectors. The inaugural edition of India-Saudi Arabia joint military exercise called Saada-Tanseek commenced on Monday at Mahajan in Rajasthan. The exercise will conclude on 10th of February. The Saudi Arabian contingent comprising of 45 personnel is being represented by Royal Saudi Land Forces. The exercise aims to train the troops of both the sides for joint operations in semi-desert terrain under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter. The exercise will involve the establishment of mobile vehicle checkpost, cordon and search operation, house intervention drill and reflex shooting, slithering and sniper firing. The exercise will provide an opportunity to both contingents to strengthen their bond. It will also act as a platform to achieve shared security objectives, enhance the level of defense cooperation and foster bilateral relations between the two friendly nations. India Energy Week 2024 anticipates the presence of 17 energy ministers, more than 35,000 attendees and 900 plus exhibitors. India's Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will engage in a roundtable discussion with the CEOs from the oil and gas sector. A detailed report ahead.
India Energy Week 2024 is expected to be a groundbreaking event that stands as an epitome of India's commitment to shaping the future of energy. Following the resounding success of the 2023 edition, this year's event, taking place from 6th to 9th of February in Goa, promises to be even more transformative.
India Energy Week, to that extent, is a golden opportunity for all these related developments on the energy front to be showcased and provide a platform for further development and growth. The event will also feature increased focus across the entire energy value chain, including 3 sessions on biofuels, 3 sessions on hydrogen, and 2 sessions on CCUS.
India Energy Week 2024 will be India's largest and only all-encompassing energy exhibition and conference, bringing together the entire energy value chain and will serve as a catalyst for India's energy transition goals. A gathering of over 35,000 attendees, 9,000 exhibitors, 400 speakers and 4,000 plus delegates converged from across 100 countries.
6 countries which will have pavilions there, 6 countries. This is apart from the exhibitors who are 900. 6 countries who have pavilions there. These are Canada, Germany, Netherlands, Russia, UK and USA. There is a Make in India pavilion with more than 300 exhibitors to showcase innovative solutions which are being brought forward by the Indian MSMEs.
In just 2 years, India Energy Week has set itself apart, fueled by India's robust economic credentials and a thriving investment climate. The stage is set for collaboration, discovery, and the forging of partnership that will define the trajectory of India's energy landscape. Delegates from over 100 countries will take part in the second edition of the India Energy Week that will take place in Goa. The stakeholders will be keeping an eye on the newest solution and find ways to mitigate the climate change impact, and at the same time find certain solution that will help in that. With camera person Bhim, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DNA India from Delhi.
Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. Handicrafts made from oysters and clams, which were found on a Dhanushkodi beach in southern India's Tamil Nadu, were displayed in the city of Rameswaram. Dense fog continues to grip northern India, including the national capital Delhi, as a thick layer of fog blanketed the city amid cold weather conditions, causing low visibility. The Maratha Military Landscapes of India has been announced as India's nomination for recognition as UNESCO World Heritage List for the year 2024-25. The 12 component parts of the Nomination includes several forts developed between 17th and 19th centuries in the Indian states of Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu, which showcase the strategic military powers of the Maratha rule. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Israeli troops dismantled 2 of the 4 Hamas battalions in Gaza's Khan Yunis city. Hungary ready to rebuild atmosphere of trust with Ukraine, laying ground for a meeting of their leaders and seeking agreement on a financial aid package. After granting sanctions relief for Venezuela earlier, U.S. reimposes sanctions on Venezuela after ban on opposition candidate.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political, and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. Let's get to international updates. North Korea has fired multiple cruise missiles into the sea in its 3rd such test in less than a week. South Korean and US intelligence agencies have been closely monitoring the situation amid escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula. Last week, North Korea tested submarine-launched missiles. It is identical to the strategic cruise missiles that Pyongyang launched last week as part of an upgrade to its weapons system. The White House said on Monday that the U.S. is not looking for a war with Iran or seeking to escalate the tensions in West Asia in the wake of recent drone attack on its troops in Jordan. The attack on Sunday killed 3 U.S. soldiers and wounded more than 40 troops. It was the first deadly strike against U.S. troops since the Israel-Hamas war erupted in October and marks a major escalation in tensions that have engulfed West Asia.
We are not looking for a war with Iran. We are not seeking a conflict with the regime in a military way. And as I said in the opening, we're not looking to escalate here. This attack over the weekend was escalatory. Make no mistake about it. And it requires a response. Make no mistake about that. I will not get ahead of the president's decision making.
Meanwhile, the U.S. military on Monday released photos of the 3 U.S. troops killed in a drone attack on a U.S. base in Jordan by Iran-backed militants on Sunday. The soldiers were identified as specialists Kennedy Layden Sanders, 24 years, and Breonna Moffett, 23, and Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, 46 years. The Sunday's incident, which wounded and injured soldiers, was the deadliest and also, in fact, it was the first deadly strike against U.S. troops since the Israel-Hamas war erupted in October, and it also marks a major escalation in tensions that have engulfed West Asia. Meanwhile, Israeli troops have dismantled 2 of 4 Hamas battalions in Gaza's Khan Yunis city. The units operated above ground and from within underground tunnels. IDF spokesperson Daniel Hagari said that the army will keep focusing on dismantling the remaining Hamas battalions in Khan Yunis. He informed that the Israeli army has so far killed over 2,000 Palestinian terrorists in Khan Yunis.
In all of Khan Yunis, we have eliminated more than 2,000 terrorists above and beneath the ground. In addition, we destroyed significant underground infrastructure in which we found facilities for holding hostages, command centers, weapons, production facilities, and intelligence material.
Amidst the conflict, the future of hostages remains at stake, for which intensive deliberations are underway. Washington is seeking a humanitarian pause in the fighting in Gaza of sufficient duration that will allow a large number of hostages to be freed. Reacting on this, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken termed it as strong.
The proposal is a strong one. and a compelling one that, again, offers some hope that we can get back to this process. But Hamas will have to make its own decisions. I can just tell you that there is, again, strong, I would say, alignment among the countries involved that this is a good and strong proposal. And the work that was done over the weekend, including by CIA Director Bill Burns, was important in helping to advance this.
Meanwhile, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres met with the head of internal UN investigations to ensure that the inquiry into Israel's acquisitions against staff at the UN Palestinian Aid Agency will be done swiftly and as efficiently as possible. Israel has accused UNRWA employees of being involved in the October 7th Hamas attack.
The Secretary General has remained very active on this issue throughout the weekend and this morning. A few moments ago, he met with the Undersecretary General head of OIOS to ensure that the investigation will be done swiftly and as efficiently as possible. Any employee involved in acts of terror will be held accountable, including through criminal prosecution.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that Washington will closely examine steps the United Nations Aid Agency for Palestinians has taken in response to Israeli allegations.
The reports that we got last week, and UNRWA brought them to us, were deeply, deeply troubling. It is imperative that UNRWA immediately, as it said it would, investigate, that it hold people accountable as necessary, and that it review its procedures. I had a very good conversation with Secretary General of the United Nations, Guterres, last week when we were first made aware of these allegations, and we're going to be looking very hard at the steps that UNRWA takes, again, to make sure that this is fully and thoroughly investigated.
British Foreign Secretary David Cameron will travel to Oman on Tuesday, where he is expected to call for stability over the ongoing Houthi attacks in the Red Sea and de-escalating of tensions in the Middle East. Cameron, on his fourth visit to the Middle East, will travel to Oman to meet his counterpart Badr al-Busaidi to discuss how to diminish tensions across the region. Cameron will reiterate Britain's commitment to getting aid into Yemen and outline the actions Britain is taking to deter the Houthis from targeting ships in the Red Sea. In an earlier diplomatic tour, Cameron met Israeli Prime Minister, politicians and Israeli-occupied West Bank, and also visited Qatar. Moving on, after ratification by Turkey, Hungary is the only country left effectively holding up Sweden's NATO membership. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the United Nations expects Hungary to approve Sweden's NATO accession in the weeks ahead on Monday.
We see that NATO is advancing with a sense of urgency and a strong sense not only of unity of purpose, but unity of action. Just at the very end of last week, Turkey approved Sweden's accession to NATO. Sweden brings tremendous capabilities to the alliance in every domain. Hungary now will have to act in order to complete the process of Sweden's accession, but I fully anticipate that that will happen in the weeks ahead when Hungary's parliament returns.
Let's get to updates now on Russia-Ukraine war. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó arrived in Ukraine for talks with senior officials on Monday to the western city of Uzhhorod to hold talks with his Ukrainian counterpart, Dmytro Kuleba, and Presidential Chief of Staff, Andriy Yermak. Ukraine and Hungary said that they had laid the ground for a meeting of their leaders during talks in western Ukraine. Szijjártó arrived in Ukraine days before a European Union summit that will seek agreement on a financial aid package that has been held up by Budapest.
We came here with the aim to rebuild the atmosphere of trust in our bilateral relations between Hungary and Ukraine. I think we agreed that we have made encouraging steps towards this. There is still a long way to go and a lot of work will be needed. But we on the Hungarian side are ready to do the work and ready for further joint work.
Meanwhile, after the talks with Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó, Top Ukrainian presidential official Andriy Yermak said that Ukraine and Hungary are interested in holding a meeting between their leaders as soon as possible. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said the two countries had agreed to form a commission that would prepare proposals on the rights of the ethnic Hungarian minority living in Ukraine. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban has retained cordial ties with Russia despite the war between Russia and Ukraine. A Ukrainian rocket strike on the Russian-controlled city of Donetsk in eastern Ukraine on Monday. The city's Russian-installed mayor, Alexei Kalemzin, said the strike killed at least 3 civilians. The city of Donetsk has been under Russian control since 2014, but Ukrainian troops continue to hold positions on the outskirts of the city of Donetsk, and the city regularly comes under artillery fire. The United States began reinstating sanctions on Venezuela after the nation failed to lift a ban on a leading opposition candidate running for president's post later this year. The United States had granted sanctions relief for OPEC member Venezuela in October as part of an electoral deal, but that relief was conditioned on President Nicolas Maduro freeing certain opposition-linked and American prisoners. Venezuelans in December carried out a prisoner swap that appeared to be a step towards complying with those demands. However, in recent days, the decision by the Supreme Court against Venezuelan opposition presidential candidate Maria Mercado, plus new arrests of opposition members, has prompted a U.S. threat to restore sanctions. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said that the U.S. measures would depend on Maduro and his government. A short break ahead, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Despite lawmakers' attack, British Prime Minister Sunak wins on new Rwanda asylum law. Improvised explosive device kills 7 at a Nigerian school. And in Spain, carnival goers ward off evil spirits and welcome spring with ritual dance.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook of the top stories once again. India remembers Mahatma Gandhi on his 76th death anniversary. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend prayer meet at Gandhi Smriti on the occasion of Martyrs' Day. North Korea fires cruise missiles towards sea off the west coast. It comes a day after it tests submarine-launched cruise missile. Tensions mount between Washington and Tehran after drone kills US soldiers in Jordan. NSA John Kirby says don't seek war but vows to take all necessary action. India to take on New Zealand in the Under-19 World Cup Super 6 stage match at Megong Oval Stadium in Bloemfontein, South Africa. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak won the first vote in the upper house of Parliament on his legislation to receive a plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. Under the Rwanda plan, which is yet to be carried out, asylum seekers who arrive on England's southern coast in small inflatable boats would be sent to Rwanda to live. Sunak won despite lawmakers attacking the bill at length as unethical and unworkable during 6 hours of debate. With his Conservative Party trailing in the opinion polls before an election is expected later this year, Sunak has invested a large amount of political capital in the Rwanda policy. He hopes it will allow him to meet a promise to stop the boats. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili resigned from office on Monday for the second time. At a briefing Garibashvili announced that he would assume the role of chairman of the ruling Georgian Dream Party starting 1st of February. He said the party needed to focus on securing a convincing victory in the parliamentary elections due to be held this fall. Georgian media, including both government and opposition, reported that Irakli Kobakizadeh, the current leader of the Georgian Dream, would succeed Garibashvili as the prime minister. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador downplayed the statement made by his American counterpart Joe Biden, who expressed his willingness to close the border between the United States and Mexico if lawmakers send him a border agreement. During a conference, López Obrador stated that the proposal is very demagogic and that he is assured that it would not be viable considering the intense commercial exchange that the U.S. maintains with Mexico. However, the Mexican president expressed that he respects Biden very much and understands the circumstances.
So the position of we are going to close the borders is very demagogic. For example, I have a lot of respect for President Biden. He has conducted himself very well, so did President Trump before. He was very respectful of us. We understand the circumstances, but imagine closing the border. With a reasonable amount of thought, you wouldn't think that this is a solution. Imagine the level of economic and commercial integration that we have. We are the main partner of the United States in the world. How can we close the border?
An explosive device mistaken for scrap metal claimed the lives of at least 7 individuals, including school children in northeast Nigeria's Borno state. The blast occurred in a school building. 6 of the children, aged between 7 and 11, picked up the explosive device along with some scrap metal and stored it in an uncompleted building at a school in the Rubio area of the state. The device detonated as children sought to sell it as scrap metal to a metal scavenger. All 7 died in the incident. Despite a ban, scavenging for scrap remains prevalent in the region. Brazilian federal police have searched properties linked to Carlos Bolsonaro, son of former President Jair Bolsonaro, as part of a probe into suspected illegal spying on political foes during his father's term. Bolsonaro, a Rio de Janeiro city councillor, is already facing a Supreme Court investigation for allegedly running a fake news factory from within the presidential palace. The search marks a stark escalation in the spy probe, hitting at Bolsonaro's inner circle. The federal police are investigating accusations of illegal monitoring of citizens by the Brazilian intelligence agency during Bolsonaro's 2019 to 2022 term. 9 warrants were served, with Bolsonaro now suspected of using data illegally collected by his firm using Israeli software called First Mile. A 14-year-old student faces a charge of murder after he stabbed a fellow student in the neck and abdomen with a fruit knife during morning assembly in the school in Bangkok on Monday. The student was rushed to the hospital after the attack, where later on he was pronounced dead. There were no quarrel reported between the two prior to the stabbing. The suspect is being held at police station. Bangkok governor ordered tightening up of security checks at schools to prevent students from bringing weapons. Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi jointly attended a ceremony held in Bangkok for signing an agreement for the export of Thai agricultural products to China. The Chinese side appreciates Srettha's decision to visit China as his first country outside the Association of Southeast Asian Nations after taking office. Leaders of the two countries have drawn up a blueprint for the building of China-Thailand community, opening a new chapter in bilateral friendly cooperation. During the meeting, Srettha stressed Thailand's firm commitment to the One China principle. Wang emphasized on the need for both sides to build the Belt and Road Initiative and speed up construction of China-Thailand railways. Chile Santiago is currently on red alert due to intense heat waves sweeping the capital. The challenging situation is causing widespread concerns about public health as people experience sweltering conditions throughout the entire week. Residents sought relief from the heat by congregating around the city's fountains as temperatures soared to 33 degrees Celsius. Given the extreme UV index, authorities are advising individuals to stay indoors, remain well hydrated and take measures to keep themselves cool. In another climate change incident, Spain will work under some new drought measures. The decision was announced by Spain's Andalusia authorities due to the severe weather shortage, with reservoirs nearly empty. The approved plan includes funding for expanding desalination facilities and enhancing reservoir infrastructure. Locals and shepherds in the area, like the Malaga province, noted the worsening drought as water levels plummet. Officials in southern cities anticipate water restrictions by summer unless significant rainfall occurs. And back home, cold weather conditions prevail in northern India as residents witness dense fog conditions as well as snow in various regions. In North India's Jammu and Kashmir, heavy snowfall blanketed the Pir Panjal range with thick snow causing road blockades. The Mughal Road, a vital link to the range, has been closed due to snowfall. DD India correspondent Shabir Dar joins us with more from Srinagar. Shabir, it is indeed a pleasant change. The valley receiving the first rainfall. Let us know the details. Are the tourists happy there?
Continued dry spell. Kashmir, witnessed the snow and rain from Sunday, and the precipitation increased. And this has brought, joy to both locals and tourists. We have seen the world-famous ski resort Gulmarg is, again, awash with tourists. Tourists are thronging the place. Although the snow is not of, that quantity, but nevertheless, it is a change, from, complete barren lands that Gulmarg is now, covered with snow. Other spots also, the Sonmarg and other hilly areas have received light to moderate snow, which has actually not only brought joy to the people, but has, change, which has actually, ensured that tourists have cancelled their tickets. Now, after this snowfall, tourists are back to Kashmir, and the economy will definitely gain from this change in the weather, and it will dawn a new, a fresh, start of the winter sports in many places in Kashmir, especially Gulmarg, where these Khelo India Games are likely to be held in the second week of February, and sports and stars from across the globe will definitely come to Gulmarg to enjoy the winter games there. Besides this, the tourist players and the tourist people associated with the tourism and trade are upbeat this time that their business will revive, which has happened in the past 2 months. Now has the chance to gain up and have good season ahead.
All right, so Jammu and Kashmir's economy looking forward to gaining from the snowfall, but also the snowfall has brought in road blockades and would also cause inconvenience to the locals there. Can we get more details as to what roads are closed?
Yeah, actually, every snowfall, closes the roads, leading to the higher reaches of Kashmir and Jammu province, especially the Mughal Road, which connects Kashmir with the Rajouri and Punish area of Jammu region. It usually gets closer when there is snow. It usually, in January itself or in late December, the road gets closer when the snow falls. But this year, there was no snow till last Sunday. As happens, the road gets closer, but it definitely brings hardships to the people living in the higher reaches. But the authorities of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir are upbeat, and they are in control of the situation. People are being proud the essentials and everything, and tour restrictions and travel restrictions are being issued for the people to ensure that they travel only if by following these advisories, so that no people face hardship anywhere.
All right, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much, Shabir, for joining in with those details. And Argentina's Los Alerces National Park has experienced fire that has charged over 1,000 hectares, causing heavy smoke and concerns about the fire internationally. Also, the fire began on January 25th and has hampered authorities' efforts to control the fire, which is still active and has affected an area of 1,036 hectares. The park, established in 1937 and declared a UNESCO World Natural Heritage Site in 2017, is currently experiencing difficulties due to weather conditions like excessive smoke. Authorities are launching an investigation into the situation. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Rio de Janeiro's Unidos da Tijuca School rehearsed samba dancers for the annual carnival parade despite heavy rains. The competition, a cultural event, features massive floats, feathered headdresses and skimpy costumes. The parade, set to begin on February 9th, will run until February 12th. Joel-Dunag dancers in Spain perform a ritual dance in early carnival celebrations, warding off evil spirits and welcoming spring. The troupe, consisting of men from Utorun and Zubeta, is accompanied by costumes and customized vehicles. The celebrations are part of the early carnival season. Colombian National Police seized 130 poisonous dart frogs at El Dorado International Airport in Bogota, transported by a Brazilian citizen. The frogs were found to be dehydrated and stressed, and the environmental minister warned sanctions would be over $14,000. A short break ahead, but still after the break, good news for India as it is set to become the third largest economy in the world soon, with expected growth at 7% in the next few years, aiming to be a $7 trillion economy by 2030. Elon Musk says first human patient receives Neuralink's brain implant. Preparations underway for the annual Chinese New Year float parade, set to take place in February.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. Let's get you updates from the world of business now. India, which is expected to grow at 7% in the next few years, can aim to be a $7 trillion economy by 2030. Asserting this, India's finance ministry in a report, Indian Economy, a review released ahead of the interim budget, will be tabled in the parliament on Thursday, said the Indian economy is expected to grow at a rate of about 7% in the coming years on the strength of its financial sector and other recent and future structural reforms. Based on this, it can aspire to become a $7 trillion economy by 2030. The report said the government's policies strengthened the supply side with investment in physical and digital infrastructure to boost output. The report said the government's policies strengthened the supply side with investment in physical and digital infrastructure to boost output. The report also said that India is expected to become the third largest economy in the world soon, with GDP or the gross domestic product at $5 trillion. US Congress negotiators have reached an agreement on 12 government spending bills, the Republican lawmakers said on Monday. Legislators would need to pass the 12 bills to fund the government and avert a partial shutdown of federal agencies that would otherwise begin on March 1st. The agreement is necessary next step after Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson and Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer agreed earlier in the year on a $1.59 trillion discretionary spending level for the fiscal year that began on 1st October. Congress earlier this month passed a third stopgap funding bill to keep the federal government open through a pair of deadlines on March 1st and March 8th. Now, as the U.S. stocks ended with strong overnight gains, with the S&P 500 index seeing record closing high, the Asian markets were trading higher at the opening session on Tuesday morning. Investors are now waiting for the U.S. Federal Reserve's interest rate decision this week, as well as India's interim budget scheduled this Thursday. While Japan's Nikkei climbed 0.29%, South Korea's Kospi rose 0.82%, while Kosdaq was up 0.66%. Hong Kong Hang Seng Index futures, however, indicated a weaker open. India's benchmark indices are expected to open in green. As on Monday, Indian stock markets ended sharply higher on renewed buying amid positive global cues. The Sensex jumped 1,240.9 points to close at 71,941.57, while Nifty ended 385 points higher at 21,737.6. Oil prices rose in early trade on Tuesday as escalating geopolitical tensions in West Asia continue to fuel supply concerns. Brent crude futures rose 25 cents to $82.65 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 31 cents at $77.09 a barrel. Both the contracts fell over $1 on Monday as a deepening real estate crisis fueled Chinese demand's worries after a Hong Kong court ordered the liquidation of property giant China Evergrande Group. A group of French farmers blocked major motorways around France with tractors in a standoff with government over concerns about inflation and competition from cheap imports. Farmers erected a wall of hay to block a highway towards Paris during a day of blockades that saw tractors congesting major highways around France. France's protests follow similar action in other European countries, including Germany and Poland, ahead of European Parliament elections in June. French government spokesperson told that new measures to help farmers will likely be announced today. Elon Musk, Neuralink's billionaire founder, said that the first human received an implant from the brain chip startup on Sunday and is recovering well in a post on social media platform X on Monday. The first product from Neuralink would be called telepathy, he added. The study uses a robot to surgically place a brain-computer interface, that is BCI implant, in a region of the brain that controls the intention to move. The study will assess the functionality of the interface, which enables people with paralysis of all the four limbs to control devices with their thoughts, according to the company's website. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration had given the company clearance last year to conduct its first trial to test its implant on humans. In September, Neuralink said that it received approval for recruitment for the human trial for the paralysis patients. Up next, we get you sports updates. Talking of cricket first, India will clash with New Zealand in the ICC Under-19 World Cup, kicking off their Super 6 campaign on Tuesday. The match will take place at Mangong Oval Stadium in South Africa, commencing at 1:30 p.m. IST. The Indian team has been in a brilliant form as they reach the Super 6 stage as the Group A leaders. The boys in blue notched up easy wins against Bangladesh, Ireland and US and look confident to continue momentum in the match on Tuesday. New Zealand registered a second-place finish in Group D, having earned 2 wins from 3 games in the tournament so far. Sri Lanka and West Indies will be involved in another Super 6 Group 2 fixture of the day. Indian all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja and batsman KL Rahul will miss the second test against England in Visakhapatnam after suffering an injury during the first test in Hyderabad. Jadeja pulled his hamstring, which could explain his game-changing run-out during India's second innings in Hyderabad. Middle-order batsman Rahul will also sit out of the match in Vizag from Friday after complaining of right quadriceps pain. Jadeja and Rahul's injuries are further blows for India, with Virat Kohli currently absent for personal reasons. Batsman Sarfaraz Khan, left-arm spinner Saurabh Kumar and off-spinning all-rounder Washington Sundar have been added to the squad. India's shooting team had yet another day to remember at the International Shooting Sport Federation World Cup in Cairo. Divyansh Singh Panwar shot a world record 253.7 in the final to clinch the air rifle gold in the World Cup. It was the fourth World Cup gold for the 21-year-old Divyansh, following the ones he had won in Munich, Beijing and Delhi since 2019. The former world #1 Olympian beat Danilo Salazzo of Italy by 1.9 points for the gold medal. In the women's 10 meters air rifle competition, Sonam Uttamaskar bagged silver in her first International Shooting Sport Federation World Cup. Sonam shot 252.1 in the 8 women final, finishing 0.9 behind Germany's Anna Janssen. India is now firmly on the top of the season opening World Cup stage with 2 golds and 3 silver medals in their kitty. India crushed Jamaica by 13 goals to 0 in their third and final Pool B match to enter the quarterfinals of the FIH Hockey 5S Men's World Cup in Muscat. Maninder Singh struck 4 goals, while Raheel Mohammed and Mandeep Moore struck a brace. India secured a commanding 4-0 lead with the first 6 minutes of the game. It scored 6 goals in the first half. It was a similar situation in the second half as well, as the Indian players netted 7 goals. Yesterday, India started its campaign in the tournament with an emphatic victory, defeating Switzerland 9-1. But in its second match of the day against Egypt, India lost by 6 goals to 8. The men's FIH Hockey 5S World Cup 2024 is taking place in Oman from 28 to 31st January, featuring 16 teams competing in 4 pools. Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva received a 4-year doping ban from the Court of Arbitration for Sport, resulting in the Russian Olympic Committee losing its 2022 Beijing Olympics team event gold medal. Valieva tested positive for trimetazidine, a banned substance, at the Russian National Championships in December 2021. Preparations are in full swing ahead of the first Chinese New Year float parade on 12th February, showcasing festively decorated floats and parades. Fireworks display will also take place at the seafront of Macau Tower. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.